Okay. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. I
Awesome.
Yeah.
I see Farha and Sonal. How are you guys doing?
Hi Felix, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys' weeks?
Well, hectic,
Heck,
but good.
busy, busy.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. At least it's here. I think we're all on the West Coast right now. Farha, you're in
Yeah.
Seattle, and Sonal, you're in San Jose. At least the weather is getting better,
Oh
right?
yeah, that's like the one of the sad things that the weather is improving now and we have so much to study. So it's like
Well, I can't disagree with Farah. Absolutely right. As much as we want to enjoy the weather outside, we are stuck here.
You gotta study at a coffee shop or something. You
yeah.
gotta you gotta find like a happy medium or something.
Yeah.
Good idea. How have you been? How's your week?
Busy as well, but my weekend has been good.
How's
Yeah,
the weather there?
it is awesome.
Is it?
Like sunny. It's like I don't know, like 15 degrees
Yeah.
Celsius
Mm.
Same here.
here. So it's like it's awesome, and like the cherry blossoms are.
Y-
Uh, there's like in Vancouver, there's a part of Vancouver where like there's also these cherry blossom that's very it's similar to kind of what they have in Japan, where just like both sides of the street are cherry blossoms, and people come over and like take pictures and stuff. So that's like kind of around the area where I live. So really love that right now. It's like feels
Yeah.
really magical.
Yeah, we did the same thing. Like me and my husband, we went to there's a place called Cherry Street in the University of Washington area, and they have these cherry blossom trees on both sides of the street, and it's pretty good. So yeah,
Nice.
spectacular kind of.
Awesome. Okay. Um, all right. I'm gonna give everybody just a minute more to see if anybody joins as I'm gonna start. All right. So I'm just gonna put myself on mute um, and just give them another minute. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Why don't we get started? And so, first of all, thank you guys for attending. I think the benefit for you guys is there's only two of you, so feel free to stop me if you have any questions, and we can dive deeper into anything that you would like to talk about as well. Um, so I think that flexibility is there for you guys.
Yes.
Awesome.
Cool.
So I'll just go through the agenda today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share my screen. You guys see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just present. Is that better? Is that larger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, what I had planned for today was to first off answer any questions around Module 1 or Project 1, do a couple of concept deep dives for the content strategy and the social media marketing, modules, touch on some additional resources that I found to be useful for me, and then some tips and talk about project 2 as well, because I think I've gotten a bit more questions around this one compared to project 1, and then any kind of general Q&A at the end. Does it sound good to you guys?
Yep, sounds perfect.
Perfect. So maybe we'll just start off. Any questions or comments on module 1 from either, or project 1 from either of you?
I have a question. Like, after I submitted the project, everything was good. They just had one suggestion regarding the value proposition side. So, for the value proposition, do we have to use the the format as is, like the wording? Because even though I like included all the for, what, whom, or all those 5 things
Mhm.
in my sentence, they kind of got back to me saying that the who or for are missing. So do we have to use the same wording, like the template that they gave us, or we can just word it in our own way? I mean,
They good question. They would like. I think it'd be best to keep that same format because that's what they're
okay,
looking for. Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So if you structure it the way that they had it in the example, you
yeah,
shouldn't have a problem.
okay. I mean, generally, when we are doing like real world projects, do we have to stick to formats, or do we have like flexibility as to how we present the information?
Um, I like other projects within this course. You mean like other?
No, not within the course. Like if I say do a project outside of Audacity
Yeah.
for someone else, do you think that it makes sense to just like stick to the template, or use frame the sentence in a way that a normal person who's not like a marketing person understand it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think out in the real world, when you're actually doing um, marketing projects, then you don't need to follow this exact formula.
Okay,
But I think the main thing is you would want to have all the
all the
elements still.
elements, yes.
Yeah, because all the elements are key. But you can feel free to structure it in a way, and that's a good point because you're going to be working with non-marketers. A lot of your times your boss is not going to be um, have a marketing background, and so if it's something that if you're structuring in a way where it makes sense to them and it's
Yeah.
easier for them to digest, that's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
Awesome. Any other questions around module 1 or project 1?
No.
Okay, perfect. Cool. So I'll just go on to the next slide here, and feel free to stop me at all if you guys have any questions. So the first concept that I kind of want to dive into is around the content marketing planning, and then some of the technology that's out there right now. Um, I would say content marketing has really exploded in popularity recently. It's one of the reasons why it's a module on this course. And if you think about the benefits, they're pretty apparent, right? So if you have a strong content marketing program, you're seen as a thought leader by your customers or be people who view your content. You're able to start building a relationship with different customers before you make a sale. And also, kind of just psychologically, a lot of content marketing, especially on the B2B side, is free. So, you're giving away ebooks or guides or giving value to these customers. And so, just psychologically, they have a better kind of impression of you. It's kind of like a psychological trick when you do something for somebody, they're more inclined to do something back for you. Um, and that's the way kind of a lot of content marketing has progressed as well. And definitely it's more important or it's more established on the B2B side, and then it's starting to shift over to the B2C side as well, just in different formats.
Mhm.
So it's like when you think about content marketing, it's really I would think about it the same as anything else in marketing. Your goal is ultimately to build your brand, um, to make people want to buy what you're selling. And so within those, your specific objectives could be around awareness or branding, or it can be kind of conversion focus where you're progressing people down into your funnel to ultimately get them to buy your company's products. Um, so what I want to talk to you guys about a company called Uberflip today, and I don't know if you guys have heard of it before. They're a content marketing company, and when I was working in B2B, one of my projects that I had to do was to demo HubSpot, Uberflip, a couple of these other different platforms, just to see what was out there. And I thought these guys were really interesting. And just to kind of add on to what you guys have learned in the modules, there's a lot that different companies can do now. Like the technology has advanced a long way. And so I would say there's kind of three different ways that companies like Uberflip are really expanding their capabilities for content marketing, with the ultimate goal of kind of, hitting that sweet spot of showing the right content to the right person at the right time. And so the three ways that I've seen kind of Uberflip, and like the things that interest me a lot about a company like Uberflip is, one, they were using artificial intelligence. So that's like a key kind of buzzword in tech, but they are trying to understand every time somebody goes onto your website, trying to understand who that person is, how many times they've come to your website before, are they a new or returning user, and then personalizing content to that kind of person who's kind of looking at your content or website. And really kind of personalizing content at a large scale. And the second is developing some easier to use platforms. A lot of times, if you have, especially on the B2B side, you don't have as many kind of potential customers, but you really have an understanding of who they are. So you want to understand that, this company, Microsoft, is potentially thinking about being a customer of us. Then it's really easy for a platform like Uberflip to create, a custom landing page, throw in a couple white papers and things like that, and package that together to be a more kind of personalized experience for those B2B customers. And the last thing I would say is kind of the advancement in analyzing content as well. And so before, you could kind of see, how many people are looking at your content, how many views, how many people downloaded your white paper or your ebook. But now the technology is advancing to where you can look specifically within those pieces of content. And so if people are downloading or looking at a PDF, for example, Uberflip can tell you which pages they're looking at, which spots are they focusing on, so you can really dial deep into kind of which parts of your content marketing is working the hardest, and then you can really take advantage and optimize there.
Okay.
So any kind of questions there on this evolution of content marketing with technology?
I have a question. I wanted to ask you, do we have any other examples apart from Uberflip?
Examples of like different platforms, or
Yeah.
It's a good question. This is probably the platform that I am most, I don't know. This is one example. I think HubSpot is another example that does content marketing pretty well. They're in the modules as well. Yeah, I think those are two big ones. That's a good question. I could definitely look into it as well. Is there a reason why you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, was just trying to wanted to try different platforms and see how one is differentiated with another, depending the projects you're dealing with for B2B or B2C, or there are so many variations in the kind of products and services that you work around. So, just wanted to see how different platforms work differently for, and which platform can give you maximum results.
Hmm.
So I was just curious for that.
Yeah, I would check out HubSpot, Uberflip,
Mhm.
Marketo as well. You're kind of getting into um, a lot of these email automation platforms. They're
Yeah.
kind of tied into these content marketing platforms as well.
Yeah.
Um, there's definitely lots. Like in the terms of the landscape, are you thinking of more B2B or B2C?
B2C, uh,
B2C.
specifically,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's always good to explore. So that's why.
Yeah, definitely. I would say it's less established. And then I don't know. You'd also be looking at kind of web content management systems as well. Things like WordPress and stuff. That's a bit more basic, but it's trying to do the same things where you're managing the content that you have.
I think the material that is covered in the chapters that we're learning have
Hmm.
some like go to places for content creation and all that, formatting and stuff. And
Yeah,
I have
I think.
gone through those links, and they're pretty good. Like most of them are like free, which you can try out.
Mhm.
It's just the time. We don't have
Yeah, I
time
know.
to like, actually do a lot of the things that they ask us to do.
Yeah,
So,
that's. Sorry,
mhm.
go ahead.
Sorry. So I did try a few of those links, and I mean, for creating content, I really found it very helpful.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
way, right now, Felix, you were talking about how Uberflip also helps you performance measurement of, the content that you've created for a particular product or service, right?
Right.
Many people have looked into your content, which part of your content has been really appreciated or acknowledged. So, that kind of platform examples that I was asking for, to better, to make you understand better about content analysis that has been, that generates results from consumers.
Yeah, and I would say a lot of that is also dependent on where your content lives.
Yeah.
If a lot of your content is, I think ultimately is going to be on the social platforms.
Hmm.
So understanding the analytics, from Facebook or from LinkedIn or from Twitter, um, those are where your measurement is coming from as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good question. I think it was far you mentioned there's lots of places where or a lot of platforms now that help you create the content as well. So there's lots of, I guess, templates and
Yeah.
different platforms that make it easier now to actually get up and running and create a blog. No, maybe not a blog post, but a social media post where they're
I
kind of
mean,
putting
they help
putting
you
things
with,
together.
yeah, they help you with, they also give you insights of, if you're talking about a particular product or a service, they also give you this information gathered from different sources that they have tied up with. And then you get an idea, oh my God, that I can write on this on a certain about a certain point or on a different direction. So content creation platforms have seen a lot, but was just curious to know about, you know, platform that analyzes already a content posted on these websites, so like Uberflip and that we're talking about.
Hmm.
I think there's the mention about the optimizely.com or something.
Yeah,
That
com is another
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah. I think that can, I mean, that has a few options. Like, I didn't actually do much on that website, but I just saw the opening page or landing page, and it was
Yeah.
pretty like good. Uh,
Yeah, I think you're definitely getting into more of the analytics platforms as well.
Yeah.
Um, with that, definitely.
Great.
Perfect. Awesome. So I think that's a good tie into the next slide as well that I had. So just all about the social media content and the state of where the landscape is at in 2019, right? So as you are going through the modules, um, there's lots of tie-ins between your content strategy and social media, like I talked about. A lot of your content is going to live on these social media platforms. And so, just social media in general, going through the modules, it's kind of easy to see how much work it is to actually do well in social. I think it's actually very underrated. The time and the effort and the thought and strategy that's actually going into creating and maintaining social media presence really in today. And so there's a couple different like headwinds and I would say challenges that make it much harder to succeed today compared to just a few years ago. Those being just there's so much content out there now as well. Like everybody kind of understands that content is useful. It can help your business, and so if everybody's doing it, there's so much more competition for your audience's time and attention. Um, you also have different things to worry about as well. If all your content is on these social media platforms, um, Facebook's algorithms, for example, have changed where they're kind of prioritizing paid content. They want you to pay to reach your own audience. So they're making it harder for you to just post organically and reach people within who have liked your page in your groups. So they're making it a lot harder as well. And the second is the expectations are higher generally. So I'm talking about like the production quality, the quality of videos, quality of images. There's a lot more thought and time and effort that's being put into social media. That's kind of raising the stakes for everyone. Um, and three, kind of like if you're getting started, there's lots of um, tactics out there that just won't work unless you've kind of developed a sizable audience, and it's kind of tough to do um, right now. And so when we're looking at these headwinds, a couple of tips that I've seen work just based on my experience is one is focus on providing value to your followers. So really serving them. And I think it's more of a mindset shift where a lot of people kind of considered social media as, you wanted to post things. So, your customers still know that you exist and that you want to shift that thinking towards I want to post things that these people actually want to see. They're gonna find valuable, and so that's a way to shift your mindset. And the second is just consistency. So what I mean by that is you don't need to post every day, but like you're not if you're a big brand, you might do that, but posting consistently on a weekly or monthly schedule, even that's kind of the best practice for effective marketers today. I expect when as a consumer, I listen to a lot of podcasts and actually kind of understand kind of the weekly cadence. And if your content is good, if your podcast or if your content is really resonating with people, people will get mad at you if you're inconsistent. And you can even see it with a lot of like YouTubers these days. They'll have videos saying that I'm sorry haven't posted in a while. I've gotten your comments. So people and your audiences are really expecting that consistency. And the third is I would say this is around the different tactics and maybe just branching out. You guys have probably seen there's so much advice and guides on how to do well in digital marketing and especially social media. Um, and there's lots of things that you can follow. People have all these tips and tricks to grow your audience, but really, it's if you're just following what everybody else is doing, you're not doing anything different. You're not going to be standing out unless you have maybe a huge ad budget, but it's going to be very hard for you. And so what I've seen is it when you're just getting started with social media, you can try to mimic what's successful for other people, but pretty soon you're going to have to do things a bit differently, or else you're just going to get drowned out. You're not going to make a difference with all the noise that's out there. So, any questions about that?
That's why I keep thinking like small businesses, how do they manage to keep their content afloat when there are like other big companies like coming up with content like every day or so? That's what puzzles me when I read through the stuff, and see how important content is. And I don't know if a small business owner who is like doing his or her own marketing uh, can stay afloat in the amount of content that's out there.
Yeah, that's a really great question. It is tough, right? It is
Yeah,
really tough to for them to first have the time to be able to do things consistently, and also have the skill set where they're, if they're just posting themselves, they're probably not a graphic designer by nature. They're probably, their skill
yeah,
set is probably not in copywriting. So how do you compete with a big company that's, has specialists and is really putting a lot of budget into it?
yeah,
And it is really tough. And I think there's no one answer for that. I think you can try to stack things a bit in your favor as a small business where you are just maybe focusing on your key kind of loyal customers, people who are wanting to keep in touch with you anyways, and you're just focusing your content towards them as opposed to trying to grow your following, and trying to acquire more followers and have a huge following. It's always easier to just maybe on your content side, like on your social media page, just have maybe updates that would be relevant for your loyal customers. I think
yeah.
that's one way to do it.
I actually had a question regarding the repurposing of the content.
Hmm.
Like, if you find some post that is like, people are liking it on Facebook or whatever, and you feel, I mean, how much? I mean, they say that you can just take uh, content that is doing well on social media and kind of use it to get traffic your way. But I mean, how do you do that? Like, how do you? Um, I, I mean, like, I have a question in mind, but I don't know how to put it in words. Like, so I was thinking for my project that I'll focus on my target persona. Sorry,
Hmm.
this is very much related to what I'm doing for the project.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Okay. So I was thinking that I will target on my I mean the persona that I have chosen, that of work of a mom who's trying to re-enter the workforce
Hmm.
using like digital marketing as a new career. So there are a lot of articles and videos, motivational videos that I find online, and that people really like and they share a lot. How do I like convert that into like a blog or something? I mean, do you have any tips on how I can do that? Because I really like the repurposing content thing, because I feel like if people already like that content and you're able to put a spin on it, it's much easier to attract uh, people to your post.
Yeah, and so I think what
Do
you're
you have any
sort of
tips on that?
touching on is sort of tapping into like a maybe a larger trend and taking advantage of that, something that is trending and becoming more popular, using that to your advantage. And so
Yeah.
I think a simple example of that is like hashtags, right? So if there are trending hashtags
Okay.
there, if there are certain things, you want to incorporate that into your content, into your social media um,
Okay.
marketing. I think another example would be to understand, just taking your project for example,
Yeah.
are there places online, especially that is super relevant for that audience? Is there another blog that's super popular?
Yeah.
Maybe it's commenting on that blog, maybe it's sharing that
Yeah.
blog on your own social media, and
Yeah.
then you kind of tap into their popularity that way.
So you can actually like, could you like take say a small short video that a particular organization has created, and then post it on your blog with just a few comments on it, saying that I really found this interesting, and then another way of empowering yourself is by going and doing a course that might help your skill set or something like that. Could I do that? That is that like okay to do?
Yes, and I think you're getting into sort of like copyright and
Yeah, copyright
the right
things like
issues. Yeah.
how. So as I mean, do we like just? I mean, if I just give the link below that I got this from this particular website, is that good enough, or do I mean, uh, because anyways, it's good for them also, right? Because I'm gonna make people come to their website by clicking on the link that I have provided. So it's like, um, is that okay, or is that against like? I mean, I'm not really familiar with
Yeah,
those
and then
things.
so the best sort of practices is to first get their approval. So reach out
Okay.
to the influencer or blog, tell them what you're doing and get their approval to do that. In reality, I'm not sure how often that happens, and people
Yeah.
do kind of link to other platform or other content, other blogs, things like that, and just leave a link, kind of credit that way. And so it's sort of more, I would say it's a legal gray area in terms of like
Okay.
copywriting and that sort of stuff, IP theft or
I think
uh,
I would like to share something here. So a few companies, I mean, in my last profile that I was working, a few companies have this clause, liability clause in their policies. So we have to be really careful, even if we are referring their, links or referring to something that they've written. They do actually have legal liabilities in place to come forward and then take you into legal obligations. So one of the incidents did happen in my previous profile. So not every company is like okay to just refer the link and be talking about it. They actually want people to come and take their approvals, as Felix rightly said. I mean, it can be little. I think we should be little cautious here.
Because I mean, when we share a particular thing on the social media, uh, isn't it like the same thing? I mean, when we share a particular story, I mean, I thought it's the same thing.
I don't know how companies look at it, Felix. I think when you share, from let's say one person to another, and the other person then shares it with, let's say, another two, three people. This is like talking about that particular content or that topic. But when you share it, you refer it on your blog and you want people to come and see, and that's mostly like an advertising, and which is originally not your content. I'm
Okay.
not sure if I'm going in the right direction. Felix, what can help?
yeah, and then there's nuances to this, right? So it's one thing is are you portraying this content as your own original content? That's a big issue, like on how
Mm,
you're even how you're sharing it. Um, and
okay.
I think a lot of it is also the size of your company as well. Like the bigger
Yeah.
the company you are, you need to be more stringent because
Yeah.
you need to be taking into account those kind of legal liabilities. Um, and I'm sure a lot of smaller companies are breaking the rules as well. It's just that nobody's gonna enforce that because it's not worth it for them, kind of legal wise. So
Mm.
I think ultimately to answer your question, the best practice is still to kind of reach out
Okay.
to the original owner of the content, and get approvals.
Sure.
Yeah,
Makes
awesome.
sense.
Really good top up, Sonal. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions around social media content? That was a great discussion.
No.
No, I
Nope.
think we're good.
Awesome. Okay. And then, kind of the last topic that I just want to deep dive into is more around the ROI of social media. And so, a lot of companies, kind of within the companies, still they view social media as something kind of fluffy. They don't really see the business net value of it. And so, if you're looking to improve the longevity of your social media program, kind of really maybe ask for more resources, more money, more budget. The first step definitely is to start measuring the ROI. So, the return on investment of your social media program. And what I mean by that essentially is how much value it's providing for your business. And so the ROI measurement definitely varies based on your social media objectives. And so I've listed a couple out here. And hopefully, just by this list, I think it kind of might open your mind into the different opportunities that there are, the different benefits that social media can provide for your marketing team or your business in general. So the first one is brand awareness, just how many people know about your company or your product. And so there's benefits here where if you're launching a new product or um, launching a new product or have a new campaign, there is a cost to get spreading your message to reaching people, either through traditional advertising methods like TV or any kind of broadcast channel like that. There's lots of cost there. And if you can show that you've reached a ton of new people through social media, you can demonstrate the cost savings there. And that's one way to measure it. The second, that's more direct, is kind of how many people have made a purchase, a direct sale, or how many business leads you've driven. That's more of a B2B play. And so you're just kind of tracking, any posts and content, you're tracking them as they kind of through the conversion funnel in your marketing funnel, and you're kind of calculating the revenue there. And the other two are a bit more customer experience related. So initially, actually, a lot of when social media was just kind of starting, social media was being used by customers or being used by businesses as more of a customer experience play. So it was one way to really answer your customers' questions. If they had concerns, it was an easy way to communicate and have kind of like a two-way dialogue with companies. And so I think that's still very relevant from a customer service, customer experience point of view. When you're at a bigger company, there's costs associated to everything. When I think about my company in general, so we're a telco, so selling home and internet, and kind of mobility plans as well. We have a metric on how much it costs for per every kind of call that comes in through our customer service team, and that's probably can get really pricey, kind of 10, 20 bucks per customer call. And so you can handle those a lot more efficiently, cost more efficiently through social media. So answering a comment through Twitter or answering somebody's comment on Facebook, that's going to take less time and it's going to save your company money, as opposed to that person kind of calling in, taking up a customer service person's 10, 20 minutes, and doing that kind of the old-fashioned way. And then the last one is around security and risk mitigation. So alerting your customers on any threats or issues. I think one example of this is we have public transportation in Vancouver. The public transportation company actually issues alerts and things like that. If there's any kind of problems that's happening with the subway or the SkyTrain, or bus schedules, things like that. And you can that kind of relates to the customer experience piece as well, where it's an efficient way to spread that message, and you might save a ton of people calling into your customer service phone lines asking what's happening, just by putting out a text or a Twitter post or a Facebook post, something like that. So I would say there's lots of different ways to look at measuring the ROI of social media, and it really depends on what you're doing. the objectives. And with that being said, there are tons of different ways you can leverage social media. Any questions on that piece? Nope.
No, I think we're good.
Perfect. Right. So next, some additional resources. So here are a couple ones that I really like. The first is a book called Epic Content Marketing by Joe Polizzi. He's like an OG, like a guy who's been in content marketing for a long time. Um, I found a lot of helpful articles on the Content Marketing Institute's blog. So you can click on here, you can go to their website. I've never paid for any of their courses, and they do offer things like that if you're really interested in content marketing. But there are a lot of their free stuff is good as well. And the last one here, there's a section within the content strategy module that's focused on kind of landing pages. And if you're interested in how to build great landing pages, how to do more A/B testing, there's a podcast called The Landing Page School. I think they have a course as well, but this one, their podcast is really good. And then on the social media marketing side, there's tons. I've listed the Social Media Explorer as one that I've used just for kind of tips and tactics on social media. And the other one, you'll find tons just from the platforms themselves. So if you look at the 4 business guides for Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they're all going to have them. And that would probably the first place I would start if you're interested in optimize your content on these different platforms. Okay. And then lastly, just a couple tips. Maybe a question for you guys. Have both of you guys started on Project 2?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I kind of like have an idea about what I want to do, but I haven't like actually sat down and wrote the 250, 500 lines yet.
No worries.
I have an idea, like where I want to go with it.
Okay. Good. No, that's good to know. I think maybe just a couple tips that's going to be relevant for both of you guys then is just try to understand what the learning goal is, and I think that'll can clear up a lot of confusion that might happen with the project outlines. So the goal of this project is to help you practice kind of understanding your target market, what their needs are, to give you practice on how to craft a story that's going to resonate with your target market, and then kind of understand the different ways of reaching your target market through each of the social media platforms. And so it's not really about creating a blog. I've had a couple of students ask me, do I need to create, a WordPress site just to host this? And that's not really the point of this project. And then one of the blog platforms that I would recommend, and it's free, is called Medium. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Yeah, perfect. So that's just something simple where you can host your blog platform, and that's going to be more than enough for this project. And the last one is about the different social media posts. So part of the project is to create different social media posts to promote your blog post. And so you don't actually need to publish these social media posts. I think a lot of students are saying, like I have these social media accounts. I don't have a Twitter. I think you got to kind of take your own self away from it, and you just need to think about which platforms are going to be most relevant to your target market. And even if you don't have a Twitter account, for example, if you think that that's going to be the most effective way of reaching your target segment, then I would create a fake post on Twitter. And so one way to do that, there's actually a platform called Ad Parlor, and you can actually create mock-ups of different posts within Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, a couple other platforms as well.
I have a question. Like, suppose I do decide that my content or whatever is good enough, and I want to like actually post it. Is there like, I mean, like I understand there are liabilities involved if you're going to publish something like, pointing towards Udacity. Is there like a channel on Slack or somebody we can just talk to, just to make sure that we're not doing anything like that will cause any issues?
Um,
I mean, in general, like to get some advice about whether the content that you're posting is within the the rules and stuff.
yeah. So just so to clarify and to see if I understand your question,
Yeah,
you are considering actually posting some of these posts onto your own social media,
yeah,
and you're wondering if there's any sort of guidelines you need to follow
yeah,
with considering that you're talking about Udacity. Um,
yeah.
okay.
Ex-
Can I suggest something?
Yeah. Okay.
I think just I don't know if this is going to work, but maybe you would want to post your, you would want to publish your post, let's say on one or two groups
yeah, yeah.
on
That is another
Udacity.
question I
See
had.
their
If
response.
we can post our final submissions on the like on Slack, just to get an opinion about what other people think about what we have done.
I think that you can anyway share it on this project to DMD group and
Okay,
one or two other.
because I don't see
Where I
anybody do
felt like
that, so
can
I
we do
thought,
that and get into a discussion, or
okay.
do you think it'll give idea? It'll give an idea to other people that what you're doing. That's
It
also a concern.
No, that doesn't matter, right? I mean, like everybody is doing pretty much the same thing, so it's gonna be like it's okay if they get ideas.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion to
Yeah,
post on
yeah,
the like our own
that's like
cohort, the
Yeah,
Slack channel.
yeah. And
Um,
people have also been doing that. They've shared, and if you really like their ideas, or they give you these tacos.
yeah, yeah.
That is, yeah.
Hmm,
So I think you would fairly get an idea of how people have responded to your publication.
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just to clarify for this project as well, you're publishing these social media posts, but publish the posts are focused on your blog post, right? So
Yeah,
you're not publishing a social like a post on social media that's saying like, hey everybody, sign up for Udacity. Um,
no, not like
yeah,
that,
right,
but
yeah.
just like making them aware of that there is a course like this on Audacity, and then maybe providing a link to the Audacity page, like for digital marketing, just so if they were interested, they can just click on it and go there. Is that not like okay? That's what I was like getting at.
I think that that's totally fine,
Okay.
as long as you're not portraying yourself as like a an employee or something
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Udacity.
yeah.
That's totally fine. Anybody can do that. Like, I can go and I don't know. I can post on my social media that I love Uber, and
Yeah.
everybody can go sign up. There's nothing stopping me from doing that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think like what Sonal said was definitely great. You could post on the core Slack group, but you should be fine. I think what I heard you talking about. I think you shouldn't have any problems there.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's all I had.
One question, Felix.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, go for it.
So, this portal that we're talking about, Ad Parlor, I haven't used it before, but
Mhm.
I'm just curious to know: is it a paid service, or or we can just go and create a mock-up social media post here?
Yeah, it's well, there is a paid service, but the mod ad mockups, the link that I have here, that's free. That's free to use.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
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 Any other questions from either of you guys?
No, I think I'm still like pretty early in the project. I might like set up a one-on-one to ask further doubts as I proceed with the project and the material.
Yeah, for sure. So I've got that here. So officially, again, the due date is on Tuesday, but that's a soft deadline as well. I've updated my Calendly, so I've updated my availability for this next week. So I'm gonna go one Monday to Wednesday and also Sunday. I've got a couple events on Thursday and Friday, so unfortunately won't be able to provide availabilities then, but I'll probably open up the week after. And then I've got another knowledge webinar coming up on Sunday as well.
Cool.
Awesome. So if there's nothing else, I can end the webinar and let you guys go back to hopefully enjoying a bit of the sunlight that's still out today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you
All
for
right. Have a good week.
Thank you.
same to you. Bye bye.